Hello, mimi ndiye Martin. How do you do? This is kind of what is considered the modern greeting, or what is trending at the moment. I know you know what I mean. Anyway, if you're in Kenya. Today, I pray so hard that I'm not going to take a lot of your minutes in talking about whatever I want to talk about. I pray that God is going to help me to be as concise as possible in expressing whatever I want to express. So let me delve straight into it. Today, I wanted to talk about people wanting to get the ends without the means. I tend to be an overthinker, or I tend to observe things beyond, well, what generally I should. I think that's what an overthinker does. And in my very serious analysis of matters, especially finances and wealth, there is something that I've discovered, that most of us are so geared and so determined to get the ends, or to the ends without the means. If you ask any young person today what they want to be, they will tell you they want to be rich. They want, in Kenya, we say kuomoka. Kuomoka, that is becoming rich. If you ask an artist what they want to be, they will tell you they want to be celebrities. They want to be known. They want their music to be known world over. If you ask an athlete, maybe an upcoming athlete, whatever they want to be, they will tell you they want to be superstars. They want to be known. All these things that I'm talking about. Okay, I must talk about marriage. That's another thing. There's so many people who are dreaming for this, telenovela type of marriages where everything is perfect. They want that. Those together, all those things are ends. And all of us have our eyes fixated on reaching the ends. But the problem is without the means. The reason why most people become con women, is because they want to get to the end, but without the means. The reason why people are sowing seeds, so sorry to say, so that they can be blessed, so that their businesses can thrive, so that they can, go to Europe or the US or something like that, is because they want to get to the end without the means. The reason why we are so jealous, angry, we're doing things, the reason why we're so depressed and anxious is because we want to get to the end without the means. If we could get, because one of the hardest things is to walk a journey, a disciplined journey of consistency towards reaching a goal. It is one of the hardest things to do. So most people want to go through shortcuts, people don't want to know, actually, most people don't even want to get to know what it takes to get to a certain point, or to get to the end, rather. Most people want the end. I want to be an established preacher. I want to have a mega church. I want to be financially independent and financially stable. But the question is, how? Those are the means. Because if you come down to the means of how to get to the end, then you are sure going to get to the end without struggles. And sometimes there are a few people who, use shortcuts and gotten to the end without actually the means. And that's what most Christians, especially Pentecostals, will celebrate as unmerited favor or grace. But I don't think it is scriptural. I don't think it's scriptural. Every people that became successful biblically had their ends from some means of some kind, from a mean or some mean of some kind, a way of some kind. How do they get to achieving whatever they achieved? That is the biggest question. So while I dream of being of having Formax Media as a global brand, how do I achieve? How do I get there? Because it's one thing for someone to come and tell me, you are going to have a media house that is going to be global. It's going to be a global brand. And it's very easy for me to say, Amen, I receive. And in the heat of the moment, sow a seed. It is also very easy for me to try and, use shortcuts to find money, to find financiers. And at the end of the day, or most of the time rather, it doesn't go well. Young people are really losing their lives. Young people are really getting into a lot of problems because they have the ends in their minds without the means. And most of them won't go back to ask, what are the means? How do we get there? Most of them won't sit down to brainstorm and ask serious questions about how exactly do we get to be like Donald Trump? How do we get to be like William Ruto? How do we get to be like Chris Kirubi? How do we get to be like Oyakhilome? How do we get to be like this? Because there is a way. There is a way, there is a process, there is a way, there is a mean to that end. But most of them don't want that. That conversation is just one place you don't want to get them to. They don't want to talk about the means. Everyone wants kuomoka. Everyone wants to be rich. Everyone wants to be successful, but everyone doesn't want to know how. So, when I do the next recording, I want us to really delve into the how, because people, or when we grew up, people told us to dream. They told us to have big dreams, and they puffed us with the ends. Like we, especially for me, I've grown up in the Pentecostal setup, and I've really been puffed up with the ends. You are international. That's an end. You are going to be an international musician or something. It's just the same thing. You're going to have an international marriage, probably marry a white woman. That's an end. You are going to be financially, like you're going to break the curse, the generational curse of finances, from your family. That's an end. And all we were told to do was to say amen. And some of us were told to sow seeds, and people really sowed seed to the words of the prophet. But this prophecy was actually people just telling us the ends, the ends, the ends, the ends. And nobody knows how. Nobody knows the means. When it comes to the means, it remains a mystery. Let's meet in the next episode, rather. Sorry for that. Let's meet in the next episode and then try to delve deeper into how do we get to the ends? How do we get to the ends? What are the means to getting to the ends? Hoping to see you. Goodbye.